Just tell me, what do you need for this to all go away?
A resignation?
Yeah, right. Being president is like doing porn. Once you do it, it's hard to do anything else.
Well, Stormy time. Stormy Daniels on SNL. It seemed so funny back then, Linda, because we all thought, oh, he's going down for this.
Did we? We wanted it to happen. Hasn't happened yet, but the walls are starting to close in, the legal walls. And Donald Trump is at the center right now of two former affairs he alleges they didn't happen. We have Stormy Daniels, the porn star, who's on the left, as she claims to have had a little tete-a-tete with Donald Trump and then got paid off some money from his lawyer. And on the other side is a former Playboy model. That is Karen McDougal. She also alleges she had quite a lengthy affair with the former president.
He denies all of it, right?
Also paid off.
Yeah.
He's denying it. It's all going to court now. Michael Cohen, who was Donald Trump's former lawyer, he went to jail because of these hush money payments to Stormy Daniels that he were written off as legal expenses.
But now he's like the star witness in this.
Yeah, and everybody says, oh, he's lying. It was like, well, he went to jail and yet Donald Trump didn't. Don't get that. And Donald Trump, of course, came out on Truth Social and said he was going to be arrested this week.
Right.
Hasn't happened yet.
No.
But he also encouraged, a la January 6th, to get his protesters to get out there and make their voices heard. And yes, there was a protest, but unfortunately, it wasn't the kind that Donald Trump would have liked to have seen.
And this is a bit of a relief, I got to say. But then the right-wing side of this equation was like, look at those signs. Those are clearly not grassroots made, which made the top of my head pop off. I'm like, so at a Trump rally, when everybody's wearing the same hat and holding the same placard, that's not
the
contrived?
MAGA hats were stitched together
just,
by an
there's
auntie.
So much here. But then, Linda, we haven't even talked about what's happening in Georgia, what's happening with the documents in Mar-a-Lago, the
Capitol siege. I mean,
there's so much here.
There's also Eve Jean Carroll.
Right?
I mean, I can't even keep track of them.
You know who can?
Yeah.
Our good friend Reggie Cecchini. He is a Washington, D.C. correspondent. He joins us now from just outside the courthouse, the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Reggie, so great to have a chance to talk with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Help us with the lay of the land here. You've heard what Linda and I were just going on about, because there is so much happening here. It's almost difficult to follow the bouncing ball. Where are we at? How do you lay this on our collective kitchen table?
Well, it really depends on what we're talking about. If we want to start here in Manhattan, the reason that we are where we are is because of the former president. If we remember 5 or 6 days ago on his social media platform, he had put a call out saying that his arrest was imminent and was likely going to happen on Tuesday. And it put all eyes on this courthouse behind me, where a grand jury has been meeting linked to that ongoing Stormy Daniels situation and the alleged affair and the alleged hush money payments, where you mentioned Michael Cohen has been a star witness. That arrest didn't happen on Tuesday. It didn't happen on Wednesday. And on Thursday, when the grand jury was set to meet again, they opted to not deal with the Trump matters, instead dealing with something else. It's all very secret, and we don't know what happens behind a closed door. So ultimately, everybody's eyes were on this courthouse because Donald Trump controlled the narrative. And now we wait until next week when the grand jury meets again. They may put an indictment forward. They may vote on an indictment. They may hear from more witnesses. That's where we are in New York. And then, as you mentioned, there are issues that are coming out of Georgia. There are issues that are coming out of Mar-a-Lago, Florida, linked to the mishandled classified documents. And ultimately, all of these investigations are starting to close in on the former president. And that is the reason that he is now lashing out so publicly, especially on his social media platform.
Yeah, Reggie, a lot of people say it's unfortunate that the Stormy Daniels case is the first one being tested legitimately by the courts, because it's the one in a way that means the least, I suppose. And a lot of people say it's going to be a nothing burger. He's not going to see any jail time. But to your point, this is the beginning of a big legal train that is roaring down the tracks. And I don't know. I mean, it would seem to me that Donald Trump might be able to escape and sort of be Teflon on some of these, but all of them?
And it's possible. And look, there have been some Democrats that have spoken out over the last couple of days, fearful about the fact that this Stormy Daniels case is the one garnering so much attention and is the one that is ultimately leading towards a potential vote on an indictment. And on a sidestep there, in the United States, it has never come to a point of where a former or sitting president has been indicted before. So this is unprecedented and uncharted territory. And there are concerns from Democrats that the case may simply not be strong enough. But ultimately, the district attorney in Lower Manhattan, Alvin Bragg, says that the testimony that they've heard, the evidence that they have been able to gather shows that there was potentially a hush money payment made that ultimately was dealt to cooking the books. And that in itself is a crime in New York. And then the question is, can that be bumped up to become a campaign finance violation stemming back to 2016, which would ultimately bring it to a federal felony and could result in the indictment. Again, there are some legal experts and some Democrats and plenty of Republicans who argue that this case is simply, as you said, a nothing burger. But again, none of these cases are tied to each other. This happened to be the first case that is going forward. And there are general fears amongst Republicans and amongst the former president's inner circle that the situation in Georgia and especially the situation in Mar-a-Lago could prove far more damaging for the president, either legally or in his political kind of future.
Okay, Reggie, so what do your sources tell you? I mean, being the Washington, D.C. correspondent, obviously this is the talk of the town, if not the country. What are you hearing in terms of how the Republican Party is dealing with this and what perhaps the mood is in Trump's camp, as you say?
Well, it depends on which case we're talking about. If it's the Manhattan court case, Republicans are really hitting back, and they are trying to poke holes in the Manhattan district attorney's case. They are simply saying that this goes back, many, many years of something being a political witch hunt. They're trying to argue that the statute of limitations expired. They are trying to follow that kind of Trump talking point that he is a victim of extortion. And ultimately, Republicans are now looking to try and question the district attorney in a hearing, which again, legal experts say, well, this is a local state prosecuted case, not a federal case, and Congress may be overstepping its boundaries. The bigger issue is going to be for Republicans when it comes time to deal with the Georgia matter and the Mar-a-Lago matter. Both of those have a far more federal reach, and Republicans themselves could find themselves caught up in the matter, especially in Georgia, where there are some sitting senators who may find themselves having to come face to face with a judge having to do with Donald Trump's ability or attempts to overturn the 2020 election. So the Republican circle is trying to push back on Manhattan, claiming that this is just the beginning of a witch hunt that has been going on forever, while at the same time also trying to deal with the fact that as these investigations go forward, they suck the oxygen out of the air for any kind of work that they want to get done, especially with their majority on the Hill. And they understand that, again, it is a balancing act in trying to deal with Donald Trump and the baggage that Donald Trump can bring with him.
In a more innocent time, if there ever was one in the last number of years, people thought, well, at least if Donald Trump is indicted or convicted on anything, he won't be able to run for president of the U.S. again. And yet I'm starting to read articles saying that, in fact, he could even do it from jail, run a campaign from jail. What's the bottom line? Can he run or not run if he's indicted?
Yeah, he absolutely can run, and that is because the U.S. Constitution doesn't really say anything about a person's criminal background or criminal presence when it comes to running for president. All you have to be is 35 years old, you have to be a natural-born citizen, and you have to have lived in the United States for more than a dozen years. It doesn't say anything else about if you have an indictment that follows you around or if you have some kind of criminal background. So regardless of what happens here, an indictment vote, charges being laid, or a potential guilty verdict, if and when this were to ultimately go to court, that would not stop Donald Trump from continuing his run forward to 2024. Could it potentially erode some of the support in the base? Yes, that is a possibility. And Republicans may find themselves next year saying, well, look, we need to find somebody else. We need to maybe get a different candidate to put at the top of the party. That's something that the party will have to figure out, in the weeks and months to come. But ultimately, if something were to happen to Donald Trump criminally in the next couple of weeks, it doesn't get in the way of him trying to fulfill his second term.
So, Reggie, what's the prediction or what's the feeling in the United States in terms of when the time comes, if the time comes that he is arrested,
we're all like, blah.
how will the base react? How concerning is the reaction of the Trump
MAGA crowd?
Thank you. Coming out and raising hell?
Well, I mean, look, we've been here before. We've seen what happens when Donald Trump puts a call out to his base to protest or to get angry about something that he may be angry about. We saw that take place. I saw that with my own eyes, what take place on January 6th. And that is why when he put that call out over the weekend that he was going to be arrested, and he told his base to come out and protest, every single police officer in New York City on Monday was told to be in uniform, fearful that something could happen. And, you know, some of the pictures that you had showed earlier, the crowds that we saw here, the protests that we saw, they were minimal. They were met by equally minimal counter protests. But if an indictment were to come down, it's unclear what the protests would look like. It's unclear how the base would react, not just here in New York, but also in Washington, in Florida, outside of the Mar-a-Lago estate, or anywhere around the country. I mean, look, in Washington, D.C., they put the gates back in front of the U.S. Capitol just a couple of days ago, because, again, there was such an uncertainty as to how the base was going to react. So This is a wait-and-see moment based on how the base reacts, how the Republican Party reacts, but also how Donald Trump reacts. And remember, if, again, it's a big if, an indictment comes down, he's already said he wants the full treatment. He wants to do a perp walk. He wants the public to be able to see him, and he could feed off of that, and the base could then feed off of that in kind of a never-ending cycle. So again, it is a wait-and-see holding pattern where nobody knows what the outcome will be.
Oh, remember when politics were boring? Let's go back there.
I don't remember.
Reggie Cecchini, thank you so much for your insights. It's going to be a very, very busy spring for you, no doubt.
We'll be circling back to you, Reggie. Thanks for doing this.
The election is 18 months away.
Wait, I need
Hold on.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Reggie. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Reggie Cecchini, downtown, Southern District of New York Courthouse, obviously the Washington, D.C. correspondent checking in with us. I can't imagine what it's been like for Reggie over these last number of years following everything from down the escalator through. He was literally outside the Capitol building. I was texting with him on January 6th, like, are you safe? And he's like, I am, but this is the craziest I've ever seen this country.
Just when you think it can't get crazier, it does. And that's the problem, is that Donald Trump's antics and actions and words have made us all a bit numb.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
what
normalized
else
it.
crazy could potentially happen?
Well, we're going to touch on some crazy, because later on in the show, What the Hell is Wrong with People features a mom who is like the example of what not to do when your kid suffers a loss in their sport.
You have to see this.
No.
Coming up next, we're talking homophobia in the NHL. It's kind of been one step forward, two steps back, at least with the San Jose goalie taking a religious stand. New news on this front. We'll tell you more when we come back.